Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Layover Live. We're now episode 201. I think I have to get some dust off this computer, blow this mic off a little bit. It's been a little bit, right? We haven't talked in a while. It's been a few months coming back from Summit. But if you did attend Summit, you'll see that we had a really, really good time. We kind of went through and did our digital marketing trivia, which was really, really cool. But it's also a good time for us to reset and rethink things. And so now with the Layover being back for this 201st episode, we're going to make it more conversational now, more of a group chat, get different perspectives in here. We may have two of us, we may have three of us, we may have four of us. So just a ton to tune in there on that. But the most important thing is bringing you value each and every time that we have an episode, and getting different perspectives is certainly a way to do that. Now, speaking of getting back and being better more than ever before, I want to kick off this first episode with you guys and talk a little about something that's really important for digital marketers in this space, especially of late, and that is around Google Analytics 4. Right? Feels like it's been like our arch nemesis over the last probably year or so, right? So a lot's happened in that space. We're about a month now removed from it going live. Funny enough, if you look at some articles I even saw from like Search Engine Land, there's still some accounts that are still tracking UA, which is nuts, right? But I want to jump into that and talk about it a little bit because it is important. It's vital for DMOs in so many different ways. If we think about the importance of tracking web performance, and those desired actions on your website are probably the most important things for DMOs, amongst other things. So let's just jump into it. Paul, I want to start with you because you've been super hands-on with this, and you've been doing a lot across other teams as well, and even other companies in this space. So I think shooting over to you first and maybe talking about some of the challenges that you've experienced, because we are moving to a different platform. It does have its own intricacies. Google's not terribly helpful over the years with a lot of this stuff. Documentation's not the best, but what are some of the challenges maybe that you've seen maybe with implementations, and maybe what you've seen from DMOs maybe this first month out?
Yeah, the biggest challenge for everybody is just getting all set up, and honestly, not even technically getting set up, but figuring out what metrics they want to use and what metrics they want to report to their people and how to get those into their reports. I don't know, I'm sure on the customer success side over there, Sandee, you've heard a lot of clients freaking out at the last minute.
Sure. Hey, does anybody else also find like the interface a little cumbersome?
Well, it's a good question. You get different perspectives on that.
Okay.
At our talk we did at Summit, we had Zach with us, and his view is strongly that this is actually a better tool.
I think people just get used to the tool that they had.
Yeah.
Sure.
And most people,
true.
started their careers with Universal Analytics.
Seriously.
Sure.
So
Seriously.
that's what they're used to looking at. They know exactly where to go for their reports. And when you jump into something brand new,
It's
you're
it.
like,
You move my cheese. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That said, there are definitely things that I find very annoying to do now that I used to be able to do really easily before. Like if you want to add a second dimension to a standard report, you can't really do that right now. You have to go to an exploration and just do a whole new custom report. Whereas in UA, you could do that in seconds. It was great. Yeah. Some things have gotten better. Like I think filtering is better now than it was when they first released it. And that's the other nice thing. I mean, I think a lot of these frustrations are because the product was not really done. They're just... they're still working on it, and they do keep improving things. And I think in a year and 2 years it'll be better, but they didn't necessarily feel the need, it seems, to wait until it was done.
That's a common thing with a lot of development.
Absolutely.
No, seriously.
Get it in front of people, and then we'll improve over time.
And that's why they say never attempt a full system rewrite, which this is absolutely a full system rewrite of Universal Analytics. But you can see why they did that, because they wanted to totally change the way the data is stored.
No, it is, and you guys are spot on. I think it's an iterative process, right? At some point, it was never going to be enough. You had to have, okay, it's good enough. It's got 4 tires, a steering wheel. Let's move with it. At some point in time, they had to rip the Band-Aid off, or they never would have been ready because somebody would have complained about something, right? So the good thing now is it's moved to kind of this events-based system, which is a totally different way of measuring results. And I know there's a bunch of benefits and features. So maybe you guys just sharing some of those key features, especially as it relates to DMOs that you've seen out there. I know having some of the new things around some cross-tracking that's easier, and Google Ads and some things like that with better integrations and things. But what are maybe some of the features or things or benefits you've seen with the new program?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest benefits are the new underlying data system is nice in that it allows custom tracking a lot more easily, I feel like. And also, in particular, you have way more options in terms of how you structure the information you're putting to your custom tracking. It's a little technical, but what it means for regular users is you can just more accurately collect data on stuff that's not just standard out of the box. The other thing is that a lot of the out of the box standard stuff is way more in depth and more detailed now. So click tracking is now just happens by default in GA4. Scroll tracking by
Which
default.
is huge for DMOs,
Yeah.
right? Especially when engagement's so important, right? So,
Yeah, forms, file downloads, all those sort of things just sort of work, which is great. That was not the case with Universal Analytics. So those are some of the big benefits. Some of the other big benefits are like e-commerce tracking, which for most DMOs is not a big deal, but it's done a lot better in this system than it was in Universal Analytics. So if you do have a lot of e-commerce tracking, which some DMOs do, we worked with one client that has 3 different e-commerce providers on its same site. They're all on different subdomains, and so, but yeah, we were able to set up tracking for all the sales on all those different things, and it works pretty nicely once you do it. Being able to analyze different channels, different pages for how they contribute to all those conversions.
I think it's one thing to have data on its own, right? And there's a million data sources. Oh my gosh, if you guys go all over the place right now, it seems like every new day there's something new to be able to plug into or grab, right? But the key for that data is it's not good enough on its own. You have to have those insights to be able to make those decisions. And I think certainly for GA4, they're stepping in that direction. A lot of the features and benefits, I think, that were inside of 360 at one time, which is the enterprise level solution that Google still has. But and a lot of the features that were really cool with that pay-for model have now carried their way into this a lot more on that side. And we could do a whole episode on just reports, right? And we should do that, and we will do that in the future, and we will get that once things get a little bit more spelled out on that side. But any other like benefits on that side or things that DMOs should be certainly aware of from a benefit standpoint, because it is different and we're learning more every day.
Well, I'd be curious. Have you heard anything good as far as feedback from clients, Sandee? You talk to clients more directly than I do.
Actually, a lot of the feedback is we're terrified and we have no idea.
That sounds about right.
So that's mostly what people are saying, and the advice that I give to them is, you really, if you're going to embrace the platform and you're going to learn where to find these metrics, you know what it is that you're looking for first.
Right.
So really, web analytics is just about kind of remapping the behavior of a user on your site.
Yeah,
you got it.
So you just start to think about how do you interact with a particular page, and then figure out what those insights look like just from your own heuristic analysis, and then start combining those with metrics that you can pull out of the platform. So if you're overwhelmed, you don't know what you're doing in there, start with some Google searches, go onto YouTube. There's 1,000 of us telling you how to use these platforms.
And I would agree with that in particular, because it keeps coming up, is people keep asking us for how to use GA4.
Yeah.
There's some finer points, but there's some finer points about what you might want to do with it to set it up for a DMO site. But 98% of your questions are like generic, just using GA4 questions.
Everybody's asking.
Yeah.
So, and there's 1,000 answers.
Just go on YouTube, go on wherever.
Yeah, you got
I'm
it.
super visual. I need to watch somebody do it, and then I can go do it.
For sure.
I really appreciate being able to just go to YouTube, and there's going to be endless videos of somebody walking you through how to find a particular metric.
Yep.
But if you don't want to invest the time, you don't want to invest the energy,
Right.
you don't want to take your team out of the field and then just so they can sit down and learn GA4. Get a great dashboard. There's a bunch of options out there. Find yourself a strong dashboard. Tell that person who's setting it up for you, what metrics do I need to know in order to make smart decisions on my business? And then just use the dashboard. Then you don't have to worry about it.
No, you're spot on. And it does bring up a point too about thinking about, is there about any gotchas maybe that are out there that we have to be mindful of? Certainly, because we're kind of now a month into this, where this is going to be the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. It's a good time to probably get real familiar, as you guys both alluded to. Education is certainly the place to start with that. You're going to want to keep probably a close eye on things a little bit more than normal now while you're in this change. So if something does happen, you don't get 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road and go, oh my gosh, I wasn't even looking at that, and that's not right, or this isn't measuring right, or not the way that I want. And certainly, I know, Paul, you've been involved with various clients on, not much on the customization side, because again, a lot of stuff out of the box works pretty well. And our team here has set up a lot of our websites out of the gate to be set up that way. But, maybe a use case of a client that you worked with where you had to do some custom solutions. Typically, it's around those folks that are doing e-commerce type related things, right?
I mean, so that one example that I mentioned earlier, that was Salt Lake City, if we're saying names. They're just really advanced as far as, they're doing lodging, they're doing ski pass sales, and they're doing other pass sales via Bandwango in their destination. What was cool about it is not just did we go through the exercise of setting up e-commerce tracking on each thing, but then that allows them to attribute a numerical value in dollars to any conversion that happens on those things, which means then they can go further back and say, all right, my paid search, my organic search, my email, my social posts, whatever, which of these are contributing the most dollars per user or per acquisition or per impression or whatever I have to pay to get that traffic. And they can actually do, holistic, intelligent channel analysis and figure out where to deploy more of their digital marketing efforts in the future to maximize those things.
It's just what's not working and stop paying for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
well, but I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, you say smart, you may say that seems obvious, but it's like, it is, partially because it's a lot of work, people don't do it, Exactly. The setup is a ton of work, and you may not understand what you're trying to do. Correct. But, if you've got, if your web vendor and your e-commerce vendors are working well with you, they should be able to guide you through the process of at least what you need to do, and somebody there should be able to set it up for you.
Yeah.
They can prove their worth.
I know. It kind of reminds me of I got 2015 vibes a little bit, like when we were switching over to mobile first indexing.
Right.
They were like, oh, it's coming, it's okay. And then it wasn't okay and things changed a lot. Listen, change is just going to happen. Like if you work in digital marketing, change is just happening all the time, right? So you have to embrace it. It's where it's going. And certainly some of the stuff, Paul, you've done on that side from a custom standpoint is awesome. Also, one thing I really love that you did really early on, and hats off too to Gray at Miles and stuff too, is you working directly with that team is us recognizing pretty early on that this change was something that affected the industry as a whole. So putting our best foot forward, I think you working across the aisle with Gray and others on that side to kind of come up with standardization about naming conventions and getting a syntax in place and some of those things so that we don't carry some of the bad habits from U of A UA implementation, not U of A. Thinking about the Wildcats already. We're getting close to football, but for universal analytics, all right, carrying over those bad habits.
And in particular, it's not just bad habits, but I mean, with the greater flexibility around custom tracking, there are a lot of different ways you could track different things, down to the name of the event that you're going to fire when somebody clicks on a link to a partner on a DMO site. There's no reason that should be different from one site to another. And so, like you said, credit to Gray, it was really his idea. We should just pick one that's the same for everybody. They could be different things. It doesn't matter as long as it's just the same. And that way, when we're all, because DMOs work with lots of different vendors, they move around between different vendors, and there's no reason to try make the data all weird every time somebody moves back and forth. True. So it's just a friendly, helpful thing that also allows easier analysis of industry averages, which will be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a whole new way of doing things, right? So, and thinking about that, this does have other effects, right? As you know, we collect industry averages. We also supply the U.S. Travel Association with some of their benchmarking tools. We had to go in and repipe all those things, Paul, which you've been, you and your team have been unbelievably busy with those things. So there's also other effects along the way too.
Oh yeah,
because it's not a true apples to apples comparison with a lot of things. It's close on some things, but there's new metrics, there's new things. So any other advice or other parting words maybe to share with DMOs or things to be mindful of as we kind of wrap up the episode.
Sandee said earlier, maybe you didn't say this exactly, but I think you hinted at this. Yeah. Just prepare to embrace it. It's the way things are now. So get used to the new interface, get used to the new metrics. It's time to go ahead and redo your dashboards or whatever other tools you have that pull data out of it. It's here. So, just the time to complain and procrastinate is over.
It's over. Yeah. I think this new platform is very behavior forward. Every single metric is really about what did they do when they got there?
Yeah.
And how do you improve that experience for them? So, if you're stuck in the old school way, if you're really addicted to Universal Analytics was about numbers. How many people got there? Now we're looking at insights that are deeper and more meaningful, and can help us to make those smarter decisions about the business.
Good advice. Yeah, that's what are those people doing? Right. That's what you should care most about, right? That's right. No, love that. Okay, so great there. Great way to wrap up on the GA4 stuff. Now it's going to take us into this last bit of the show. We're going to try to spice things up and make it fun. So we thought at the end of the show we kind of end with a little photo, okay, that we would share and do something that's a little bit more of a competition for viewers of the program, right? And we're going to title this Caption This. So what we're going to do each episode is we're going to throw up a photo for you to start thinking about. We're going to post it on SimpleView's social media channel each and every episode, and we're going to allow you out there to create a caption for it. And whoever comes up with the most creative or fun caption, our marketing team will choose a winner, and we will send you some SimpleView swag. So get those juices flowing. Let's go to our photo of the week now and caption this. Okay, this is a funny one. We've got our good buddy. This is how I feel each and every morning coming into work. Thanks, that's great. So again, check out social media. Please post on caption this. We'd love to see what you guys have with this engaging content, and we will send you some Simple View swag. So check it out. So thanks, guys, for coming in and talking about GA4. I think it was a good time to do this. We are back now. Episode 201 is in the books, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.